AI is the sexy thing out there right now. It's like going so freaking fast.
It's time to get started because it really is going to be one of those technologies that we look back on in a couple years and go, man, how did we do this without AI? If you've forgotten step 1, 2, and 3, remember step 4. It will change the way that AI works for you, probably more than anything else. When you're done telling the AI model what you want done, just end it with this.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Bryan Driscoll. I'm here with Jonathan Mast. What's up, man?
Not much, Brian. How you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Blessed beyond measure. Happy to be here. Excited to chat. I've been looking forward to this one.
This should be pretty fun. So everyone listening, AI is the sexy thing out there right now. It's like going so freaking fast. And I'm excited about this because Jonathan specializes in AI. Like, this is all he does. So it's going to be cool to talk about, like, what's happening, basically. What are some cool tools? What are some things people can do? So, Jonathan, before we kick in, why don't you give everybody a little background on what you do?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, again, as you mentioned, I'm kind of the AI guy. I love AI. I got really into AI when OpenAI released ChatGPT with an interface that made it easy for us mere humans to use. It doesn't have to be a technical genius. And I just found it allowed me to save so much time and get so much more work done. I was like, man, this is just amazing. Now, on the other side of it, I had team members that were candidly kind of scared about it. And they're like, I don't know, is it going to take my job? What's this going to mean for the future? And so I did a hard pivot. I'd spent 15 years in digital marketing. And I said, it's time for me to make a pivot. We'd been blessed, had a great company. And I stepped away and started focusing on AI coaching and mentorship, really helping businesses and their teams learn how to leverage AI in order to save time, make more money, and deliver more value to their clients. The cool thing with AI is we get to do all three at the same time.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. So you have a Facebook group first, right? Like, what is that, in case anyone wants to join? Because you have a lot of good info in there.
Yeah, so it's AI prompts for entrepreneurs. It's totally free, tons of resources. Just went over 400,000 members this weekend, so lots and lots of resources there.
All right, cool. So let's start first. It's like you got all these different tools. Say you're a business owner. Everyone's talking about, hey, you need to integrate AI in your business. Where do you start? Because there's so much going on.
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably one of the most common things I hear, Brian, is I don't know what to do. I see there's, almost every day there's a new AI tool coming out. There's something else. Do I need to be using it? Where do I need to be using it? What I really recommend for every business owner out there or entrepreneur is start with the basics. Think blocking and tackling. If we go back to football, when our coach said when we were losing games or we weren't doing well, we went back to the basics and we started there. And that works with AI really well. And what that looks like with AI is generally starting to use one of what we call the large language models. That's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude, Grok. There's lots of them out there. And what I recommend to most businesses is if you're a Microsoft shop, you've already got access to Copilot, which is Microsoft's version of ChatGPT. Use that. If you've got access and you're a Google shop, you've probably got access to Gemini. Their new models 2.5 are fantastic. Use that. If you're not sure, just use ChatGPT. And that's where I recommend people starting with. Are there idiosyncrasies that make certain models better in certain cases? Sure. Just like if you and I were to go shopping for new vehicles, we might go to different dealerships with different brands and have different preferences. The same thing holds true with AI. At the end of the day, though, just like Brian, if you and I were going to go out and have the best steak in Pittsburgh and we were both driving to the restaurant, it doesn't matter if I'm driving a Honda, a Toyota, a Ford, a Chevy, a Dodge, and vice versa for you. We're going to get there and think it worked just fine for us. And AI tools really work the same way. Whatever tool you have access to is going to allow you to leap ahead of your competition and get so much more done. Don't worry about perfect. Just worry about the next step.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Now, let me ask you this too. So I use ChatGPT all the time. Mm-hmm. And I checked out Gemini and like, this isn't really doing what I need to, which I heard they just came out, like just upgraded it. It's pretty good now. But like from a high level, say ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, all those, what are the best things each one's for? If someone's like, oh, I got to do this. Or maybe like a high level. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'd be happy to. Well, ChatGPT is the 900-pound gorilla in the room. There are the big ones. That's where it kind of all started, so to speak. And ChatGPT is really good at almost everything. It's probably the best jack of all trades, if that makes sense. Whether you're trying to write a new email, whether you want to create a social media post, whether you need help writing a blog post, you need to write a memo, you just need to brainstorm. ChatGPT is going to do a great job of that. The one thing that it does better than, I guess, two things that I think it does better than any other models is, one, it has memory. In other words, if you're using it, it will learn about you as you're using it so that its responses get better and better over time. ChatGPT is the only model that has that. And that's a big deal. The other thing, and I just happen to be a huge fan of what are called custom GPTs. And a custom GPT is very simply just an AI model that's been trained not on all of the data in the world, but on your data. And having that ability to use your data and have you direct it to how it works. Others like Gemini and Claude, they have similar tools, but they're not shareable. So if I want to create a custom GPT, as for example, I've done, that represents my tone, my style, everything about my company, Whitebeard Strategies, I can make that available to my entire team, which I have. So when my customer service department is responding to somebody, they can respond in a manner that reflects our company tone and style real easily because it's all built in. My assistant can do the same thing when she's working through my email and she needs to respond to people. She can write those emails using ChatGPT and a custom GPT trained on my voice and style to make sure it sounds like Jonathan. And that's, to me, those are the two real big things that ChatGPT does better than everybody else. It's good at everything. Those two it does probably the best. The next one you mentioned, Claude, by a company called Anthropic. If you're a serious writer and you're writing content, it's probably the best tool out there for writing. That's where it seems to excel. Now, it doesn't mean the other models are terrible, but if Claude is at, let's say, a 98, the other models are between 90 and 97. So on a scale of 100. Then we've got Google Gemini, and you and I were in the same boat for a long time. In fact, I used to tell everybody, Google, if you have to use Google Gemini, I'm sorry, because it literally just sucked. That changed about 2 months ago. They came out with their 2.5 versions, and they've been making a huge number of announcements. Google right now is the one to beat in my mind. They've probably got the best models across the board. But don't let that dissuade you if you don't have access to Google Gemini, because next week, well, actually this week as we're recording on Tuesday, this week there'll be announcements and that'll change because AI is moving so fast, Brian, that what's the best model today won't be the best model in a week, guaranteed. Everything changes so fast. Google's great at a lot of what they do. It's really good at coding. It's really good at an analysis and data analysis. And it's got a massive context window, meaning the amount of memory that it has per like document. That's really helpful if you've got a lot of documentation you need to give it. Where I really think Google excels is their deep research tool. And if your users aren't familiar, deep research has only been out maybe a couple months. But imagine you had your own personal research assistant that you could basically give a topic to and an objective and send them away for 3 days to come back and give you a report. I just did one overnight and Google Gemini came back with a 147-page report on a topic that I wanted with over 200 citations that they'd use to gather that information. That's the type of thing that would have taken a VA or somebody like that literally weeks to put together. And Gemini did it in about an hour.
Right. And deep research is, yeah, if anyone's listening and hasn't done that yet, go into Google, do deep research and see what it gives you back. It'll give you back like crazy info.
You will. Yeah.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Perplexity. I shouldn't leave that off. Perplexity is now my go-to search engine. I don't use Google anymore. I may change my mind at some point, but Perplexity has replaced that. It is an incredible AI-based search engine. And what I love about Perplexity, Brian, and by the way, all of these tools have free access layers. You can pay for them for more service, but you can get into them for free. But Perplexity is great because instead of going to Google and getting a list of 10 websites that I should look at to find my answer, Perplexity actually gives me the same 10 websites or similar, and it gives me the answer. So it actually looks at the website. And as an example, if I want to make lasagna for dinner tonight, instead of just giving me 10 websites that have lasagna recipes, it's going to analyze those, look at the reviews, and come back and say, here's 10 websites, but here's the best lasagna recipe we were able to find for you. So it saves me a ton of time and energy. And again, lots more we could talk, but that's where Perplexity really stands out.
Yeah. And like you're saying too, it's like, if you're just getting into it, it's overwhelming. Pick one. You're not going to get one. Like, Start messing around.
Any one of those will do an amazing job for you and let you get so much further ahead. It's the difference between trying to go to the grocery store in a horse and buggy and taking a minivan. You may not love a minivan. It may not be perfect, but it's a whole lot faster and a whole lot easier to go get groceries in the minivan than it is in the horse and buggy.
Now, one thing you said too on ChatGPT, which I think is beneficial to everybody also, run through, so say crafting an email or writing something on your behalf. What do you tell ChatGPT so it writes in your tone and voice?
Great question. It's one of the biggest frustrations that people have when they start using an AI. They write and they're like, that doesn't sound like me. I can't use that. That didn't save me any time. Well, that's because the AI model doesn't know your tone, your style, your personality. The easiest way to fix that, Bryan, is simply take a moment, go out to a website called 16personalities.com. Take a free personality test out there. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. When you're done, 16 Personalities is going to give you back what's called a personality code. I happen to be an ENTP. Don't worry about what that stands for. There's 16 of them. That's why it's called 16 Personalities. When you simply then go back to any of the AI models and go write in the style of an ENTP, if you're like me, if you're like my wife, it's a different code. It will change the words it uses, the phrases, the tone, the style, and it will now sound a lot like you. And most importantly, a lot less like AI.
Yeah, and that's big too. Like I notice sometimes it'll even write something out for me, and I'm like, "Hey, change that to my tone and voice." And then it does, and it sounds like I wrote it. Like I put in the one you were talking about, and we also do predictive index,
Love
and I'm a
predictive
captain
index.
on
Yeah.
there, so I put that in too. And the more information you give, the better output you're going to get.
Oh, absolutely. What's really cool is, as you probably know, if you combine those together, and there's many personality tests out there, but if you take the Myers-Briggs, which is 16 personalities, you take predictive index and you grab in some other, maybe a Kirby Bates or Colby or whatever, and you bring those together and you give it 4 or 5 things about you, it knows that much more and will write that much more like you in everything that it creates.
Yeah. Now, one thing I think it's important that we can talk about is some people use AI and I think it makes them smarter. And I think some people are putting things in there looking for the answer and just taking it. So maybe you could talk about that. And because I noticed that I kind of like do devil's advocate with ChatGPT and things like that. So talk about that. There's like one way that it's like, okay, you put something in and it just gives you the answer. Or there's one way that you can like really, really get awesome stuff out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the key there is it's just like if you're working with an assistant, you should be collaborating with AI, not handing the job off to AI. In other words, we want to make AI amplify our skill and experience, Bryan. We don't want to just send it in. We joke about politicians, how they never want to do the work and they want to kick the can down the road. We don't want to do that with AI. We want it to literally amplify our skill and experience to do a better job faster, really to do that heavy lifting. I'm an old farm boy and I compare it to planting. If you don't mind, I'll take a quick digression. It's our job as the human to pick the seed and to plant the seed. AI is going to help it grow and fertilize it and give it all the TLC it needs while it grows. And then it's our job to harvest at the end. And whether I'm writing an email, a social media post, a memo, or just brainstorming, that same thing can be the case. This morning I had to write a memo to my team, and I'm ADD. I didn't want to write a memo to my team, but I had to explain a new policy. Nothing bad, pretty simple. But I would have in the past ignored that, avoided it, not done it, whatever the case was. I now just went into ChatGPT, loaded up my personality and profile and said, hey, I need to write a new memo to the team. I need to explain our updated vacation policy, let them know they're going to get a couple of additional holidays throughout the rest of the year based on our most recent management meeting. Here's the details. Please write the memo for me. And guess what? I had a great memo. It was just over a page, right to the point, covered all the details. Oh, by the way, I uploaded a transcript from the management meeting so that it could literally grab all the details out of that. And in about 3.5 to 4 minutes, I had a memo that was written, I'd edited, I'd proofread, and done, as opposed to something I would have simply not done a year ago or 2 years ago, or we would have had a staff meeting and I would have told everybody and they all would have forgotten. So this one simple example of how AI can save you a lot of time, but it's, again, not here to replace what I did. I gave it that information. I gave it the transcript, and then I took a look at it when it was done and I made sure, yeah, this reads good. This is accurate.
Yeah, and that's good info because I think today we have so much data and like even transcripts, things like that. You have all the information, it just doesn't go anywhere. So if you can
Yeah.
consolidate it and then you can get your memo or whatever it is, it's like, okay, hey, here's all this data which I can't wrap my head around to like organize it, but you take it and here's the outcome I'm looking for, and then it pops out something that's usually 90% there, and then you just tweak it.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally, and I think a lot of people are like this, it's easier to edit something that's already written than it is to start from scratch. When, it's that writer's block that we get when we look at a blank sheet of paper or a blank screen in Microsoft Word and like, okay, where do I start? Well, now we can take that data, whether it's a transcript of a meeting, whether it's a video that was out there or just some deep research that we did, feed that in and we can turn out some amazing stuff. And that allows us to amplify our skill and experience. And again, focus on that saving time and maybe making more money while ultimately adding more value to our customer, whether that's our team or our clients, because again, we're able to give them more than what we were able to give them just recently without AI.
Right. And I think I learned this from you too. I use ChatGPT and I have an app. I don't remember what it's called on my Google Chrome that allows you to do audio.
Yeah.
So it's like basically I'm talking to them like, hey, ChatGPT, here's what I'm trying to do. Ask me questions one by one, and then it's going to ask you questions, but I'm speaking it back because it's way easier for me to type paragraphs worth of text if I voice it versus typing.
No, totally agreed. It's actually one of my favorite AI hacks, so to speak. And whether you're on a Mac, you're on a phone, you're on a PC, it doesn't matter. They all support a transcription feature. And I want to be clear to your audience, it's not the voice feature that's like built into all the tools where it talks back to you. You can use that, but if you're like me, it's too slow. And I'm like, come on, I'm like, hurry up. And so what we do is we turn on that transcript feature. So just like I'm talking to you here, I can put my cursor inside of the AI. And like you said, I'll just tell it, hey, I want to brainstorm about this new concept of mine. I want you to ask me a series of questions one at a time, build off each of my responses, and help me get to this endpoint. And literally, it will type it out. I'll read the question on the screen, and then boom, just like that, I can respond, just like you mentioned, with my voice. I'll give it a lot more detail, a lot more context. And the beautiful thing, Bryan, because these are natural language models, when we talk and communicate, just as you and I would on a project, it responds so much better and it has so much more context. It works so well.
Right. So, I always call it going down the rabbit hole. It's
Yeah,
like you start doing
absolutely.
something, and then the weird thing I notice is I get ideas. So it's like I'm going to ChatGPT for one thing, but if you prompt it properly, which we'll talk about in a minute, it'll kick back like a question. You're like, you know what? I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
we
that's
should
what I
probably
love
talk.
about the interview part is it literally will it's been trained on every book and every library. So it's going to ask questions that you and I may not have thought of. And a lot of times those are really important in the context of what we're trying to accomplish.
Right. We should probably talk about prompts.
Mm.
Explain what a prompt is. A lot of people don't know what that phrase is, number one.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's go back to that. I think a lot of people hear prompt and they go, huh? What is that? This is not custom programming or anything else. It's really simple. A prompt is just how you're communicating with the AI model of your choice. Super easy. Treat it just like Bryan, just like you and I are chatting here. Treat it the same way. But I do recommend a framework that people follow because one of the first things that happens, we hear about AI prompting and we're like, ooh, I need a list of the best prompts. No, actually, you probably don't. Because even if you have that list, the time it takes to go find the prompt when you want it and then change the prompt to fit your needs, you could have just used a framework. And I'll be happy to teach you that right now. I think you probably know it. You can use that framework and now you can write a prompt to do anything at any time, literally in just seconds, and get great responses back out of AI. Is it fair if we dive into that?
Let's do it.
All right. So 4 simple steps. 1, tell the AI what type of expert it is. So let's assume we're going to write a press release. I'm not real good at press releases, but let's have AI help us. I'm going to tell it, you're an expert at writing press releases that garner attention and build credibility for my company. Step 2, I need to give it context. That may be, we recently sold off a division of our company that provided done-for-you services, and we're no longer going to do that, and I want to do a press release to announce our updated and refocus on training and mentorship. Great. Step 3, what's my question? Write me a press release. That's it. And step 4, if you've forgotten step 1, 2, and 3, remember step 4. It will change the way that AI works for you, probably more than anything else. And that's that when you're done telling the AI model what you want done, just end it with this: ask me any questions you have. That's it. Literally type those words in, say those words at the end of your prompt. Ask me any questions you have. Because see, Bryan, the really cool thing is, while AI doesn't necessarily read our brain, if I'm asking it to write a press release and I forgot to tell it who the audience was or how we were distributing it or other things about press releases that I just don't know, it's smart enough to go, well, we need these 3 things in order to answer Jonathan's question. And it'll then ask me. Well, it's a whole lot easier for me to respond to those than it is to plan and to think and go, oh my goodness, what do I need to do? What do I have to put together? No, just give it what I have. It's kind of, Bryan, like if I was going to work with you, if you're an expert in writing press releases and I come up to your desk and go, hey, Bryan, I need you to help me do this. And you go, great, I've got a couple questions for you. And I go, no, just figure it out. Of course, you're not going to be able to do an amazing job because you didn't get the relevant information. But I don't need to be a pro at press releases because you are. And if I simply answer your questions, as I can do with AI, now you'll gather the information needed to take care of that for me. And that's step 4, adding that ask me any questions you have to the end of your prompt totally changes the game.
Right. And everyone listening too, you can do this in business, but also in your normal world. It's like, hey, you know what? Act as a health professional or a fitness trainer and ask me questions on what my goals are or my diet plan or anything really. Like, it's like almost anything you need to do, especially the stuff you're like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Think how ChatGPT or something can help you.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to tell anybody is just think of it. We all have tasks that we have to do either daily, weekly, monthly. We know we've got to do, and we kind of look at them and go, oh man, I hate doing that. That's a perfect place to start with AI and have AI help you do that. Sometimes it's not even things we hate doing, but they just take too long. You know, this morning I was working, we're doing a first time ever, we're going to relaunch a course. We're going to do a version 2 of it. And was working with my marketing team, putting things together. They've got a gazillion questions. Most of them weren't here when we did the first training 9 months ago. So what did we do? Well, I simply downloaded the transcripts, 6 hours, by the way, of transcripts. And we fed it to ChatGPT and said, hey, we're going to do a version 2.0 of this, better that, you name it. Please ask us what questions you got. And it went through and it answered almost all the questions my team had just out of that transcript. Now, it's not that I hate doing that, but it takes time and it takes energy. And I've got other things I want to be focused on today. That allowed me to literally probably take a 2-hour meeting and turn it into a 20-minute meeting.
Right. And you're right. Things, because I look at our P&L every month, right? And one thing there, I'm like, well, I really hate going through and like looking through all this stuff. I want to know the data and I want to have everything, but like pulling it all together, like you're talking about custom GPT, I just told it, hey, here's what I'm doing monthly. I upload my cash balance. I upload a couple other things in there, and then it asks me questions. Oh, hey, what are you looking for this month? And it reads it, and it's like, hey, you know what? You spent more on marketing this month. Your sales went down this month or whatever, and it'll help you analyze your stuff, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Because what I find with many entrepreneurs, and I'm not trying to point any fingers, but I know this is the case for me, and I know it is for a lot of my peers. There are a lot of things like that we know we need to be doing, but we don't do them, or we don't do them as well as we could because of the time it takes or just our inability to be focused. That's my case. I can't focus that long. But AI tools, like you said, I can take that custom GPT, train it on what I want to know, have my assistant literally go in and upload the reports, and then send me the results. What's even better about it is now with audio, we can turn that into an audio. So when I'm walking in the morning, I can literally listen to the analysis of my last month's numbers. And in 10 minutes, I've got a fully done audio review. Now I can deal with it. And that means what? I'm actually doing it, and I'm doing it effectively every month versus ignoring it. And let's face it, I'm guilty. I think a lot of us are. When things are not fun or we just don't know what to do, a lot of times we ignore them, and that's to our peril.
Yeah. Now let's talk about audio. What are you using to put it in audio format?
Generally, I'm using a tool called 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is great, and 11 Labs does a lot more than this, but they have an audio reader. I can literally take any text, I can paste it in, and within about 2 minutes, I've got an entire audio overview of what that data is, or it's simply transcribed it all and put it into an audio format so I can listen. When I'm on the go because I'm driving or I'm out walking or doing whatever I find it easy for me to be able to listen to that, to take more data in than if I've got to sit and read that. So I use that. 11
Yeah,
Labs is also great if you just, I can record my voice. I've trained it on my voice, and my team now, with my approval, of course, can recreate audio of me for marketing materials, for voiceovers, things like that we need, which is, again, great because instead of them sending me a voiceover that I need to re-record and I need to find time to fit in, need to be sitting at my desk, all that type of stuff. Now, literally, they can take that and create those voiceovers and things like that perfectly, or almost perfectly. Even my wife sometimes has a hard time telling the difference. Was that you or was that 11 Labs?
Yeah, I did the same thing. We needed voicemails for our phone system. I'm like, man, I
Yeah.
don't want to record that. You're going to pull out the microphone. I'm like, wait a minute. Just use 11 Labs and we have a recording. No one could tell it wasn't even me.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so many things like that we can use that I think really help again with those productivity tips.
It's also scary too, especially like
No
on
doubt.
social now. Like, how do you differentiate between real stuff other than seeing someone with 6 fingers?
Well, I think it's why it's so important for us as business leaders to have a strong personal brand, because you need to be known for who you are. Because if you're not, it's too easy for somebody else to make up who they think you are. I can take any public figure or even semi-public figure like you and I could grab a podcast just like this, download and strip out your voice, train 11 Labs or other tools on Bryan's voice, and I could make you say anything. That's a problem unless you've got a decent brand. If you've got a strong brand like you do, that's all right. Because if you say something that's totally off, people are going, no, that's not Bryan. But if you don't have a strong brand, if you're a business owner out here who's just ignoring all this stuff, and now something shows up and it's in your voice, and we're even getting to the point now it can be looking like you on video. The scary part is, prove it with pictures. Let me hear it or see it to believe it. All of that's out the window anymore because we can fake all of that. Am I worried about it? No, I'm not. I think it's just part of life. It's part of technology advancing. That's all right. But it is something to be aware of. And as an entrepreneur, I think it's a great reason why, again, it's so important to continue to stay focused on your personal brand so people know who you are and what you stand for.
Right. I agree with that. Okay, so here's what I think. I'll tell you what I think, and you can tell me what you think about it.
Okay.
I think AI is going so freaking fast, and there's so much stuff that we can do with it. And I think some people are trying to delegate too many different things. For example, I think some businesses are going to thrive, and I think the world in like a couple of years is going to go back to, I want that personal touch still on certain things. So it's like everyone's delegating voice and things like that. I think there's certain things to delegate to AI, which is like probably 80% of the stuff we do. But then there's certain things we need to double down on the human aspect also.
Absolutely, 100%. I'll give you one that happens to me almost every week. As you mentioned up front, I have a large Facebook group. We've got about 400,000 people in it. I post in that anywhere from 4 to 15 times a day, depending on what's going on. Everybody is always, well, you automate all that, don't you? AI handles that? And I go, no, I do all of that. And they're like, but you're the AI guy. Why do you not use AI? And I'm like, I didn't say I didn't use AI, but I don't automate it. And the reason is social. It's a social networking platform. I need to be in it, paying attention to what's going on and seeing that and actually responding. Because Bryan, when you make a post and I respond to it, I don't want you to negate that and go, well, that was just some bot Jonathan had. No, if I respond to your post, it's me. Period. End of story. Now, may I use AI to help me write the response? Yep, absolutely. But I'm not automating that process because, like you said, authenticity still matters. It's like the sales process to me. Just had a discussion last week with a company owner, and he was all excited about AI to be able to replace his sales team. Because let's face it, being a salesperson, I can say this, salespeople sometimes can be a pain in the butt to manage. And he's like, I can't wait to just replace them. And I'm like, don't do it. He goes, what do you mean? And I said, sales is about building trust and rapport. And he goes, oh, yeah. And I says, you're not going to be able to do that with an AI tool. You may be able to amplify your sales team. You may be able to help them in certain areas, but you can't wholesale just replace your sales team with an AI bot and expect your sales to do anything but crash. Because unless I know, all right, I'm looking at this webcam and I simply want to buy it, in which case, by the way, I'd go to Amazon. I wouldn't call in the company. I want to talk to a person. I need somebody to answer my questions. And are there areas AI can help with that? Absolutely. But we still need to have that personal touch and that personal availability.
And that's a great example too. Like with your social post, it's like you don't have to. You have the idea of what you want the post to be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be a professional writer and going back and spending 2 hours to craft that. You can take the idea, put it into ChatGPT or something. It'll give you back what you want, and then you post it. So it's still you. You're not automating the whole thing, but it's crafting. And me, I know ChatGPT can write better than me. Like
Yeah.
it can get my message across. It's like I'll write an email. I'm like, hey, can you make this a little bit not as abrasive or whatever? You know what I mean? And it makes helps me communicate better.
Oh, by far. I mean, one of my things I've never enjoyed doing is we all have those emails we need to write where we need to put some boundaries in place. We need to be nice about it, but we need to put some boundaries in place. And those are sometimes hard to write and balance between telling the person to go take a hike and telling them, hey, here's how it's going to work, and still being nice about it. AI does a great job of that because I can literally, let's say you sent me an email I need to respond to. I can literally copy and paste your email into ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, doesn't matter. Any of them will work. And I can say, here's what I want to say to Bryan. And it will then write that in my tone and style, but it'll be nice. It'll include all the things it should. And it's been trained on the best ways to communicate. So, like you said, in 9 times out of 10, it's going to write a better email response than I could do myself and do so in just a pittance of the time.
Yeah. And then at the end too, it's like, hey, do you want this to be more firm or do you want it to be more friendly?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that's, it's a really good point. I think a lot of people, Bryan, they treat AI like a one-armed slot machine. It's not like we pull it and hope and pray we get the perfect answer. It's collaborative. We ask it a question, it gives us a response. Sometimes, just like if you and I are working on a project, I can say, Bryan, that's close, but I forgot to tell you this. Okay, now we're going to update that. Or, I like this, but I'd like to see this instead. Okay, we're going to update that. It's so important with AI that you maintain a conversation with it. You don't just treat it like let's pull the handle and hope and pray we get the perfect answer, because you're going to do that a lot and you're not going to get the perfect answer.
Little different topic. How do you organize, like in ChatGPT or what you're using? Because you're not just using one thread for all of these things,
Nope.
right?
No, I do new threads for every new topic, and I don't really organize anything. I rarely, if ever, go back to old prompts unless it's something that's saved as a framework, in which case I'm going to save it out to, a Google Doc or Evernote or something like that. But I rarely, if ever, go back to my old prompts. And a big reason for that is I don't need to anymore. I don't need to remember, what was that social media prompt? I've either saved it in like Evernote, or if it's something I'm using repeatedly. Good example would be social media posts. I don't have to remember and go find that prompt. I've created a custom GPT. We talked about that up front. It's trained. Here's the way I want you to write a social post. Here's the tone and style for Jonathan and his company, Whitebeard Strategies. Here's his audience. I've got all that programmed in. So I don't need to remember to tell it. I just literally load up Viral Wave, which is the tool I use to do that, and say, I want to write a post about a giraffe and a mouse in a rainstorm and make it related to AI prompting. And you know what? It'll take those three incredibly disparate things, a giraffe, a mouse, a rainstorm, and AI, and it'll craft a really good and relevant and helpful post because it already knows the framework I want to follow. It already knows about me, and it already knows about who my audience is. And so I now can create those 7 to 10 social posts that I do daily in seconds. All I have to have is the idea, and it can help me execute.
Right. It's funny you say that. I created a custom GPT. My kids, we read stories every night.
I love that.
I'm like, okay, we're reading stories, and we started running out of books of the specific. Like, I'm trying to teach them lessons, and there's a lot of books out there that don't have the lesson in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we created a GPT, and I wrote it. It's like, okay, ask what the characters are, ask what we want to do, and at the end, I always plug a lesson. It's like every single one's going to have a lesson. You have to overcome something, your confidence, anxiety, whatever. And it's a GPT, so the kids at night, they'll go in and write whatever they want. Boom, story comes out, which is awesome. And it's crafted too. It's not like just putting out whatever. It's like, okay, you got a plot, you got a good storyline, but we're trying to instill values too, or whatever it is in there. So
I love that.
You don't only have to do it once. It's like
Well,
make
and
it.
the neat thing is you're bringing your kids into it as well. You're teaching them how to use it, and they're going to be a lot more engaged when they know that they helped write that story. One of my students does childcare, and they were doing a summer event the other day, and they had iPads for all of the students that were there. And these students were ranging from about 4 to 7 years old. And they literally on the iPad, just like you're talking about, they had a custom GPT ask questions like, what type of character do you want it? Do you want it to be a dinosaur, a horse, a dog? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to look like? And they basically asked them 5 to 10 questions, and then it created a story for each child. And she told me on one of our coaching calls, she's never before had 20, and she had 22 students in there that were totally wrapped with attention to everything that was happening, because every one of these stories they created, they cared. She didn't have any issues with people running around not paying attention or anything else, because they all got so involved because they were part of the process. So I love what you're doing there. That's so cool.
Yeah, and in that example you're talking about, think about it from the kids' side. Like they just created something.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
so they can feel good.
Well, and again, it's encouraging those creative juices and tendencies in us to do it. I know some people are like, "Oh, AI is we're going to lose all our creativity." No, we're going to have time now to be immensely creative. I would have never been able, for example, to write a short story because it's not what I'm good at. But I have 2 grandkids, and I literally just not too long ago went to ChatGPT and I had it write a short story and then animate each scene. It basically created a picture for each scene. We pulled that into Canva, turned it into a quick movie. I spent maybe 20, 30 minutes on this story. Now it was about 8 minutes long. And this is what was so cool. My grandkids live 12 hours away. I get a text back from my daughter-in-law. My 3-year-old grandson is walking around, and she'd been videoing it. He's listening. He's watching the story that Grandpa created. And as soon as it's done, he's like, "Mommy again, mommy again." And he's dancing and he's having, and I'm like, man, I just positively impacted my grandson's life in a way that was relevant. It had my voice, by the way. We used my voice as the narrator. And it was a 30-minute investment and had an immense impact on him. I could have never done that before AI because, one, I wouldn't have had the time or the knowledge or the ability. But now I had the idea, and AI helped me craft it and put it all together, basically built that framework out. I just was in there as needed as that architect to help make sure the things were the way I wanted. And it was just so cool.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna look. I got an app on my phone here. Just popped in my head. Have you ever used Bible Chat? It's an
I have
AI.
not. No.
It's interesting. So I started doing a challenge like this year. It's like, okay, I'm gonna read the Bible through from
Yep.
start to finish through the year, and a lot of that stuff, especially the Old Testament, I'm like, what is this
Yeah.
even
Getting the
talking about?
Lamentations. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and they got one that even breaks it down like what we're talking about stories too. It's called Bible Chat. I'm like, hey, whatever they're saying here, what are they talking about? And
Mm.
it allows you to like, while we're talking about thinking to understand things. Like some things are
Yeah.
complex, and it can break it down so that I can understand what they're talking about.
I love that. No, I do that all the time. I'm a Christian, and we were at church the other day, and there was something came up about it was Jesus and the tax collectors, and I know that they weren't popular. I mean, let's face it, the IRS isn't popular here either, but we don't like shun people the extent that it seemed like they did. So I had ChatGPT explain that to me from the context of what was going on, and it brought new context to what was going on in that, and that helped me understand it better and appreciate the lesson better.
Right. Yeah, because you don't know, because it's like, if you work for the IRS, we don't hate you. I mean, we don't like
No, I
talking
mean,
to you either, but we don't hate you.
exactly.
For the person that's listening, that's actually, I'll take a step back. What I started doing a couple months ago, maybe 5 months ago or something, that's how I came across your stuff, is I decided AI is the new way. And I don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. Like I've always been messing around with it, but what I did is I'm like, I'm just going to spend 30 minutes a day doing something.
Hmm.
And that helped me like rationalize it because there's so much stuff going on. It's like, I don't have to worry about everything. I just have to do something 30 minutes a day, whether it's watching a video, whether it's messing around with ChatGPT, things like that. What are some things that you see working really well with people that are seeing how fast it's going to like wrap their
Mm.
head around it to not get overwhelmed?
Well, I think, 2 things you mentioned that are so important. One, you don't have to do everything, and you certainly don't need to do everything now. So we all have a tendency to want to do the best, to get the best, whatever the case may be. But with AI, the key is I love what you said. Take a half hour a day. And people maybe go, I don't have 30 minutes a day. If you learn to use AI in 30 minutes a day, you're going to buy yourself 30 to 60 minutes, if not 90 minutes, that you're going to be able to
Right.
save. And here's what's cool. When maybe it's 10 minutes the first day. So
You can
maybe
do it
if
on
you
a
know if you're
treadmill. That's what I do half the time. I'm on a
yeah, I
treadmill.
mean,
So
if you're brand new to it, start with 10 minutes a day. Like you said, read a post in my Facebook group, watch a video, try something. And then when you do that, after you've done that for a week or so, it will become a habit. And as it becomes a habit, now you're just subconsciously, you're going to start finding opportunities to use AI in ways you've never thought about, like creating short stories for my grandkids, something I'd never thought about. But all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I could do that. I saved time today. I want to reach out to them. And here's a way I can do that in a way that's going to impact them and be positive for them.
yeah. Here's even an example too that because if you think about it in your life too, like you're talking about, things are going to pop up. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're like this. I get ideas when I'm driving, when I'm in a shower, when I'm walking. So
All the time. Yes.
yeah, and I'm like, I'm driving, I can't write that down. So I started Googling. I found it's a tool called AudioPen that you just
Mm.
voice it and it like transcribes it. And then once a week I go through. But even things like that, it's like whenever anything that like you're thinking, it's like, boy, I wish something, like I wish I had a way to do this. You can figure it out. Like if you just,
Yeah.
an AI can help you.
Yeah, one of the things I often do, just to keep it super simple, is I'll just open up a new chat when I get in the car and I'll use the voice mode. And if I've got an idea, I'll literally say, create a task to do this, create a task to do this. And I'll keep it all in one chat. So then when I'm done, I literally just go ahead and say, give me a list of all the things we talked about. Boom, here's my bullet list. And now I can copy and paste that into my tasks or wherever. Super easy, super effective. And like you said, I get them all the time. I mean, I might be walking out to my car. I might be driving into the office. I might, who knows, I could be walking. Those ideas come and at least for me, I know if I don't do something to memorialize them, I'm probably going to forget about it because I'm going to have 3 more ideas in the next 10 minutes that are going to be on top of those.
Yep. And then you're sitting there like, oh man, I wonder what that was. And it's like a cycle.
Exactly. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So things like that. Hey, what are the different side of AI? Before we close, well, two different sides.
Sure.
Video. What I see people making these awesome videos now. They look like movies.
Yes.
That's with Google's tool, right?
Yeah, so Google just released 2 new tools that are really cool. One's called VO3, VEO3, and it's just amazing what it's capable of doing based on text prompts and images that are uploaded in a combination to create really cool videos. The other thing they released, and I think this is probably even more exciting, is they introduced something called Flow. And while we may not all use it, Flow is essentially like a video production studio. And the mistake that so many people make with video is they go, okay, I want to do a 28-minute sitcom episode. What's the prompt I use to get the perfect 28-minute sitcom? And I'm like, it's not a prompt. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, go watch your favorite sitcom. You'll notice that about every 3 to 8 seconds, the camera angle changes. Every one of those is a new scene. Every one of those is a new clip. So to put together a 20-minute sitcom, that means that quite literally, I'm probably going to put together anywhere from 10 or so clips per minute. That means that that 20-minute episode's got to be 200 plus clips. And Flow actually helps you kind of plan all that out, storyboard it, so to speak. And then because it uses VO3 on the back end, you literally can say, okay, now that we've planned the whole episode, now go create it. And it will literally do that. And so it may start with, Jonathan and Bryan are on a podcast and here's the way this episode looks. And then we're going to pivot over here. And then, Bryan's child's going to come in and hold up the bunny ears behind Bryan's head to get attention. And it will create all those as separate shots and bring all those together.
Are you doing a training on them?
We are not yet, but we will be. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing some trainings on that. It is a little more advanced, and one of the things that we found, Bryan, I'm sure you can appreciate, when people get started in AI, they're really looking for what are some quick wins, some very practical stuff that they can do. And we're going to do some training on video, but because it's more in depth, it keeps getting candidly kicked down the road a little bit because there's something else we want to talk about. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing some on video. We've got one on images coming up tomorrow, for example, how to use the new Midjourney.
Nice. And that's a good topic too. So Jonathan has a lot of courses that you can take and they're like compartmentalized. So it's like if you want to learn about you had one on LinkedIn, or you have one on
Yeah.
automations, how to make blog posts or Zapier and Make, and they're compartmentalized. So each one's standalone and they're cheap. They're like $100 maybe, $150.
Yeah, 97 bucks for most of them. Then we do express trainings for $10. So they're going to break your wallet.
Yeah. So, so this is interesting, especially for everyone listening. If you're thinking about how do I get started and you're overwhelmed, it's like, go spend $10 or 97 bucks and you don't have to do anything. You just have to absorb. So you can just watch it and it's going to give you ideas. You might not do what you're talking about in the video. You might take it and do something else.
And again, I'll just
Okay.
a quick post to the Facebook group. The Facebook group's free, and there is so much information in there. If you're getting started, you don't even have to spend any money. I mean, I don't mind if you do. Don't get me wrong. I got bills, but you don't even have to. You can get started for free.
That's true. Yeah. So, Jonathan, the website that they can go to if they want to connect, and give them the website, the Facebook group, and any other way to connect with you.
Yeah, so the easiest thing is just to remember my name, Jonathan Mast. You can go to jonathanmast.com, that's M-A-S-T. Or if you forget my name, remember that white bearded AI guy, you can literally Google white bearded AI, and you'll find my company, Whitebeard Strategies. All the information's there. Our Facebook, there's links to our Facebook group, which is AI Prompts for Entrepreneurs. Totally free. Would love to have people join. As you mentioned, I've got tons of resources.
I would recommend anyone listening, just dive in. The water's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just dive in. It's you're going to start learning things. You're going to feel a little teeny bit overwhelmed in the beginning, but then you're going to have a little control. It's like, you know what? I can use this in my life. This is actually helping me. And it's taking away all the smoke and mirrors that everyone's like, AI is all this, all this stuff, you know? You can actually see what's out there.
No, 100%. So easy, so impactful, and just easy to do.
Yeah. Is there anything else we wanted to touch on, Jonathan?
I'm sure there's a million things we've probably missed on, but again, I think the core point here, Bryan, I think makes so much sense, is just if you're using it, use it a little bit more. If you're not, it's time to get started, because it really is going to be one of those technologies that we look back on in a couple of years and go, man, how did we do this without AI? Just like we wonder how. I was out in LA recently and I had to drive around. I'm not a fan of LA traffic, and I had my GPS. Guess what? Not a problem. It watched traffic for me. It did everything else. I was able to get where I needed to go without stressing about it. I can't imagine. And I remember, I'm old enough. I remember going to LA when I literally had paper maps and trying to figure out where to go and everything else. And that was a nightmare. And you ask yourself, how did I drive around LA without GPS? Well, we did, but it was a pain. And we're going to do that same thing with AI. We're going to look back and go, how do we do that without AI? Because it was so much more difficult.
Right. I think Bezos was saying the internet changed everything, and this is going to change the industry like electricity did. Like, for example,
absolutely.
And I don't know if it was and you're listening to you or someone else, they were talking about when electricity was invented, it was invented for lights. Mm-hmm. But then people started hacking it and they started plugging a refrigerator into the outlet. And it created a whole new industry. Just because electricity was created for one thing, now everything runs on it. AI is going to do the same.
Yeah, we can't even fathom some of the changes. Somebody asked me the other day, what do you see happening 5 years down the road? And I'm like, I honestly don't believe that we've even thought of the ways that AI is going to impact us, because we're not going to know until we get there. And then all of a sudden we're going to be, oh, wow, one of those dumb moments. But it's really hard to look forward because it is such a brand new and such a transformational technology. Like you mentioned, like electricity, we couldn't imagine when we created it for the light bulb that we'd be doing all of the other things, driving cars that run on electricity. Who would have thunk?
Right. Electricity created AI down the road if you look at the chain effect,
Absolutely.
Hey, one last question. What's a top book you recommend to people?
Oh, boy. Depends on what they want to do. When it comes to business, I think the best book I recommend there is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It's a couple years old, but it probably in the last 5 years has done more to transform my life positively in my business life than anything else.
Yep. I almost referenced that earlier, too. It's funny you say that one about the energy audit.
Yeah.
It's like do the energy audit and the stuff that takes your energy away. Figure out how to use AI for that.
Yeah. Massive.
Yep. All right, cool, man. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Bryan. Have a good day.
Dude, everyone, thanks for listening. Get out there, crush it, close some deals, and start messing with AI.